Hello everyone, Time to Grind here, and today I wanted to make a different type of video than I normally do. Now, a couple of videos ago, I asked you guys if you wanted me to make a couple videos that might not be necessarily about Overwatch, and this is one of them. I've been playing a game called Battlerite recently, and it is extremely fun, so I wanted to kind of explain what it was and then also review it. Little disclaimer before I do start this video, I was actually given a free copy of the game to review, so I don't know if that changes anything. It shouldn't, because I still would have bought this game. In fact, I've gotten several friends to buy it because it is extremely fun. But I did just want to tell you guys to, keep it transparent and stuff like that, but it shouldn't be too much of a deal. But pretty much what Battlerite is it's if you took a MOBA and you kind of took away all of the farming, item buying, running around, jungles, creeps, towers, ancients, and all that stuff, and just left the very core gameplay. So what it is it's kind of, there's an arena, and there's two different game modes, 2v2s and 3v3s, and you pick your hero, and you just fight the opponent, and there's 3 rounds, or not 3 rounds, it's first person to win 3 rounds, wins the game. And what's special about this is at the beginning, so every hero has several abilities, a lot like a MOBA, and at the beginning of every round you get this thing called a Battlerite, hence the name Battlerite as the title of the game. And what it does is there's 3 options to choose from each round, and it'll help maybe some of your abilities or you as a whole, and different ways. And so there's not items, but that's the kind of way they work into different builds, I guess, because if you watch some of the few tournaments that there have been, you can kind of be like, oh, okay, that pro or that person that won the tournament, they built this character this way, and they got this Battlerite for the first round and this Battlerite for the second round, and it definitely is really interesting because it also helps you, since there are rounds, a lot of the times the first round you play is kind of like a feeling round where you're like, okay, these are the 2 heroes they picked, they're very, very aggressive, so maybe this Battlerite for round 2 will do something that helps me heal a little bit, or I can't do enough damage, so maybe I'll do this where it gives me more damage and stuff like that. So it adds a lot of variety to the game, and also adds a lot of counterplay to the game where there might not have been that much. Now, there are a couple different maps. I believe there's, I want to say 3 or 4, and what's interesting about them is they both look completely, or all of them look completely different, but they don't change the gameplay too much. One of them might be the main center arena is kind of, there's corners in it, and maybe there's little like corner-ish things, whereas another one might just be a circle, and there's not really any edges. And so that definitely, it adds enough depth to where, you're actually thinking, oh, this is this map, this is how it works, but it's not so drastic where you're having to completely learn the game, and a lot of heroes are a lot better on a different type of map, because generally it's going to be the same idea, it's just adds a little variety, and that's definitely helpful. So there's 2 main mechanics that I really, really like about this game. First of all is kind of the ultimate charge, how it works. So I can't remember what they call it. I call it ultimate, but it's kind of like your energy. I think it's energy is what they call it. And as you use your abilities and as you fight, and you can collect orbs from the middle, and there's actually this thing in the very center of the arena that spawns every now and then, and you can destroy it to gain health and energy. And as you gain energy, there's 3 main things you can do with it. Firstly is you have these 2 kind of ultimate abilities-ish. One requires 1 little bar of energy, so normally they're not that powerful, but they're definitely more powerful than your normal ultimates, and you can't just spam them because it requires charge. And then you normally have your ultimate, like your big ultimate that normally takes all of your energy. There's a few Battlerites and stuff like that that can give you more energy than max, but it's normally using up all of it. And then there's a third thing which you can do, which normally you don't start learning to do until you kind of get more comfortable with the hero, but there's these abilities called EX abilities. And if you hold shift, each hero has around 2 abilities where they change or even get more powerful by holding shift, but they require 1 ult of energy. So not only do you have your 6 abilities, you have your 2 EX abilities. And one thing that's I think I've forgotten to mention is every single ability is a skill shot. So you control your character with WASD, and then you use your mouse, you know, for aiming abilities, because every single thing is a skill shot, which is really, really nice. And there's not a lot of RNG involved, which is also very, very nice. Actually, in fact, I don't think there's any. Like, there's nothing like, I don't think there's anything like crits or anything like that. So, you know, that also is very, very, very helpful. So one of the great things about this game, and one thing that the game has done very well, is made every single hero fun. You know, of course there are supports, because in 2v2s and especially 3v3s you are going to possibly want a support to heal, but every single character, even supports, feel very, very fun. Everyone feels unique. And very, it doesn't feel like they were just copy and pasted from other games. It's not like, oh, this is your stereotypical mage guy, and this is your stereotypical, you know, like, it's everyone feels very unique. As an example, one of my more favorite characters is this little guy that has this huge kind of steampunkish machine on the back that works as a jetpack, and he has a shotgun, and he can fire rockets and also use a shotgun and stuff like that. And it's just, every hero feels very unique, especially with the kits they have. And everyone is very, very balanced also. You know, I know there's a lot of heroes that are probably more stronger than others, and I know, I think, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but Paloma, whatever, she's someone else I enjoy. Apparently I've heard she's pretty strong, but overall the game isn't unbalanced, and a lot of the times you see games that have multiple heroes being very imbalanced, you know, when they first come into early access. But this game is not. And speaking of early access, this game is in fact right now in early access, and when the game does get released, it's going to be free to play. The one problem with that is, you know, I've criticized other games for having this type of payment model, so just because I like Battlerite, I'm not going to give it a pass, but it will have the kind of system where you have to buy new heroes and stuff like that. The good thing, though, is if you buy the game in early access, which it is in right now, not only do you get to play the game right now, but it only costs $20. And the thing with that is you get all current and future heroes for free. So pretty much if you buy this game in early access, you will never have to worry about that kind of scummy system where you have to buy heroes. And I do understand why a lot of indie devs do this type of payment model, because if you want to make a game competitive, you can't, and you're an indie dev, a lot of the times you can't charge for the game. It needs to be free to play, it needs to be accessible, but you can't also make as much money as, say, Blizzard does with just cosmetics in certain games. You definitely need to have, if it's free to play for an indie dev, a lot of the times you need it to have that kind of system. So I understand why. That doesn't mean I'm giving it a pass. I still think that's a negative of the game, but I definitely understand a little bit why it's there. So, like I was saying, the game is very balanced, and the meta, the one thing that's cool about this is the meta, it's very different from a lot of other games. So as an example, in a lot of games, there's only one round. You know, because in Dota, the round may take, you know, an hour, 2 hours, but there's only one of them. But in Battlerite, you know, because of the fact that there can be upwards of 5 rounds, you constantly have time to take a little break, you know, like a 30-second break, and think to yourself, like, okay, they're playing very aggressively. How are we going to counter that? Or they have very, very defensive heroes. They have very tanky heroes. You know, what can we, how can we change our playstyle towards that? And it's a little different than a lot of other games, because it does, you know, promote that thinking throughout the game, you know, during the time between rounds, to you and your, you know, teammate talk, like, okay, well, we're going to try playing more aggressively now, or we're going to try both getting a Battlerite that's very defensive, and we're going to actually try to take this very control-y. So not only is there a meta with the heroes and the team compositions you can have, there's also a meta in just how you want to play the game. And I know that's a thing in other games like Dota, you know, you could try to be super aggressive and do that, but say you pick aggressive heroes in Dota, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can be both aggressive and super control-y. In this game, even if you pick 2 super aggressive heroes and do a super aggressive team comp, I feel like there's still the counterplay of, okay, well, let's try to play a little bit more defensively, because of the fact that There's no item building, there's no farming and stuff like that. It's just coming down to the combat. And because of that, I think that this game has a very high shot of being an esport, especially because a lot of pro Dota players, I know pro Dota players have been playing it a lot and enjoying it, and I'm sure a lot of other, possibly League or Smite players have been looking into it and getting interested. But it's definitely a game that kind of blew up because of all the, exposure it was getting on Twitch. So one good thing about that is the queue times aren't bad, even though it's in early access, and it's going to be even better when it's in free-to-play. But going back to the whole meta thing, there's two little things I want to point on. One kind of negative I have with this game, but it is in early access, and I know it can be fixed. That's kind of why I'm saying in case any of the devs are watching this for some reason. The one little small thing, I tend to now play with friends since I have a lot of friends that buy the game, but when I was starting out, say you wanted to pick a support hero, you actually pick your hero before you start queuing. So what that means is you're always going to be able to play your hero, because it's going to find you a game and a teammate or teammates, if you're playing 3v3, it's going to find you teammates that aren't wanting to play your hero. The bad thing about that is, say I'm thinking, okay, the last 5 games I have not had a support, I really think I want a support, so I'm going to play support. I queue up, I'm gonna I could get put up with someone that is also a support, and so I really think that there should be a system where you can just queue up, or you have to queue up without picking a hero, and then you can actually communicate with your team who you're going to pick and talk about team compositions. The one bad thing about that is if you really want to only play a certain hero, you might not get to play that hero, but I feel like the benefits definitely outweigh the negatives, and that's something needed in a game, especially if it's so heavily focused around team compositions. And another thing I kind of wanted to talk about, in case the devs or someone is listening, the one thing I really hope that happens with this game in the future is kind of in terms of how they balance and buff and nerf heroes, because I really hope they take a Dota style approach to that. And what that means to me anyways is, in Dota there's several, huge patches. So there's like 6.6, 6.7, 6.8, 6.9, and each one of those there's huge balance changes. There's over 100 heroes, and you can get like 75 of them getting changed in some way. And so every huge patch, there is a huge meta change. Some heroes get played a lot more frequently, and there's definitely winners of that meta. And some heroes will no longer be great because they were, better last meta. And so there's constantly this kind of focus on the meta changing, and it adds a lot of diversity to the game, especially in the competitive scene. Whereas in Overwatch, it looks to me kind of that they are taking the approach where they're trying to get the game to a position where every single hero is perfectly balanced. And there's nothing, it's not terrible. It's not a terrible way to balance games, and I'm not going to go into it because I don't know too much about it. But there's videos, I think the channel is like Extra Credit or Extra Credits. I think that's them. They have a couple videos, and other people have talked about it, just about how the fact that in a competitive game, you don't necessarily want every single hero or character to be perfectly balanced, because what happens then is it kind of creates a stale meta. And one of the best things about esports is, even in CSGO, metas are changing, metas are evolving with the little adjustments they've been making, and map adjustments and stuff like that. But that's kind of a little different thing, in a different category. But just the fact that if you try to get into a position where every single hero is perfectly balanced, that can cause a very boring meta. And it feels like Overwatch is trying to definitely go to that part of that way of balancing, but if somehow a dev's listening, really think you guys should do what Dota does. But so, in my opinion, I think graphics are a decent topic or talking point in a video game, because that is what you're looking at. And Battlerite has a very good art style. It has an art style that fits. The graphics are good, but they're not like something to brag about necessarily. So I'm not saying the graphics are bad. The art style is very good and the graphics fit the game, but it's not, so great to the point where, you know, you should definitely be bragging about it or drooling over the graphics. So, you know, it gets the job done, and it's good at it. I'm not saying anything wrong with it, it's just not super good, and it runs well. So that's pretty much all you need to know about that. And like I said earlier, there are enough players playing constantly because of the huge exposure it's gotten, and because it's just a great game, and it's getting a lot of good rep. And I think one of the most important things about this game that I feel is going to make it successful isn't even about the game itself. It's about the development team. The devs are so amazing. I've only been following the community for a little bit, because I just recently got interested in it, maybe a week or so ago. But in that time, devs have been, or not devs, the community's been like, hey, you know, the early access, like, thing you were offering us, I don't think it's worth $20. So the dev's like, oh, okay, that's fine, we'll make it worth. You buy the game, you get all heroes, current and future. And then they're like, oh, okay, I still, you know, don't know if it's enough content. It's like, okay, we'll give you extra chests. And then there's an additional, like, $30 thing you can buy if you want to support the devs and get a few things. And people are like, I don't know if this has enough content. And they're like, okay, yeah, we'll give you all of this stuff. And they've been very open to the community. They've been listening. They're actually active on the actual subreddit, so I'd recommend you checking that out and subscribe to that subreddit. I believe it's just Battlerite. I don't think it's anything weird like Battlerite the game. It's just Battlerite. But the devs are very, very great. And they actually made a game similar to this called BLC. And I think they lost the rights to it somehow. I can't really remember how exactly. So this is kind of the spiritual successor for it. They really wanted, they really liked the idea they had, the game they had, and they wanted to make sure it got to the people. And they're doing it very well. The game is very good, a very good state. I'd highly recommend you to buy the game right now. Especially because of the fact that you do get all current and future heroes, because I think I saw somewhere that they said they weren't going to offer that deal. They weren't going to offer that deal when the game actually released free-to-play. I don't know if that means it's going to be 30 to 50 bucks, like it is in Smite. I think Smite's is like 20 or 30. And so this gives you all of that, plus, you know, cosmetics and stuff like that, or extra chests, which is very cool. And so, I guess I should talk about this a little bit. It kind of has Overwatch's chest system, like with cosmetics. You know, there's chests you can get, and like loot crate things, and they have different tiers of cosmetics and stuff like that. So that's definitely very cool. And yeah, so I would highly recommend you buying this game. And if you can't right now, or you don't necessarily want to, it will be free to play at some point. Just not, you know, if you don't want to have to worry about and, you know, the heroes, when a new hero comes out, you don't want to have to worry about not being able to afford it while everyone else does. If you want to just get all heroes for free, no strings attached, you should definitely buy this. And one additional thing is the devs are so awesome. There is a kind of exclusive mount in this game, and it's a really cool fire lizard thing. And they normally give around 3 keys to each, you know, if you're a streamer or YouTuber, you know, of course 1 for yourself and 2 to give away. So they did indeed give me 3 keys for that, for the mount, the really exclusive mount. So this is kind of what it looks like. But I'm going to go ahead and give away the 2 additional keys, but I'm not going to do what a lot of other people are doing, where it's like, oh, you have to subscribe to my channel, like the video, you know, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch, because, you know, I'm not trying to buy subscribers. If you enjoyed this video, then yeah, I would appreciate it if you liked it. If you want to see more content, because I've been thinking about making possibly some Battlerite videos, maybe a little mini guides for each hero. You know, if you want to see stuff like that, go ahead, subscribe. If you just think I have a sexy voice, you know, subscribe. But I don't want to buy subscribers or anything like that. So the only thing you have to do to enter for the giveaway is just comment literally anything on the video. You could say, hey, I hate Time to Grind, I hate your videos, you should stop making them, and you would be entered into the giveaway. So I'm going to give them away probably in about a week, and I will personally message the winners. And if they don't respond within 24 hours or something like that, I'll go ahead and draw someone else. And I'll be using a random, you know, a program on the internet that does that for me, so it's not like, you know, there's no point of upvoting or downvoting people, or disliking. But yeah, so if you enjoyed this review of Battlerite and possibly want to see more reviews like this or more videos on Battlerite itself, consider subscribing down below and giving it a like if you enjoyed the video. And like always, guys, see you next time.